There's no need to make anything up. And virtually everything can be documented. So you have your thoughts and then you have your documentation. All of this, the control of water, the Clean Water Restoration Act, the Law of Sea Treaty, the National Animal Identification System, the free trade agreements, which all harmonize and standardize all nations across borders, have the same design. They want to make all of us little plebes out here equally poor and totally controlled, and set up the earth as being God, so that we have to effectively worship the creation more than the creator.
Gaia, worship, bow down to Gaia, you know.
Yeah, but some of us just won't do it. So, you know, we have a number of things that we have to remain active on, and what I've found, Clay, is that we're a microwave society. You know, we want to have an effect immediately, and if we have to toe the line for too long, we get burned out. But freedom isn't free, and it requires eternal vigilance. So we just have to keep on exposing what they're doing, backing it up with facts, and preparing as best as we can ourselves, our neighbors, our families for what they want to implement. Now, whether or not they get it is dependent upon us, because I don't care where you live, it all comes down to the consent of the governed.
That's right. Got a film out on that, consent of the government, America, dream or nightmare. Now, let's flash forward here. You know, I've jokingly, well, it used to be jokingly, said I've been legislated out of more businesses than most people have been in. and almost as soon as I started the concept of Liberty Village, which is, you know, small farms with people working together, with with goats mowing the lawn instead of illegal aliens on riding moors.
Mm-hmm.
And NAIS came along, and now what I pointed out is that the whole Liberty Village concept is applicable to neighborhoods in the city. If you took a block in the city and said, okay, we're going to unite, we're going to dig up the backyards, we're going to plant a garden in the backyards, you know, I'm going to plant tomatoes, he's going to plant corn, and then you put the wind generators on your roof.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I get a lot of, oh, well, you can't do that, won't work, Clay, because they've got zoning, they've got the neighborhood association. Well, yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah, they do that, and that's what they try to do to keep you from being self-sufficient, to keep you from being productive, to keep you poor.
Right.
But this whole, you could do this in a neighborhood. You could do this in a neighborhood, and then you don't have the cost of the transporting of the food from the farm, from the ports, from the into the city. We've got less than a week's worth of food in our grocery stores.
Right. Right.
And the rest of them are dependent on the gasoline and the diesel to get them to you.
Right. And it's very important. I mean, it really is a matter of national security for a nation to be able to feed itself. And in the United States, we've lost that ability because of these free trade agreements and because of running people off of farms. As you pointed out at the top of the show, Clay, in the 30s, we had 30% of our population engaged in agriculture on a full-time basis, and now it's less than 2% of the population. And we don't have any surpluses any longer. We're running on just-in-time management, and all of the policy wonks, if you will, are predicting massive food shortages because of environmental issues, and also because of consolidation and lack of, basically diversified agricultural participation. Everything's become this monoculture deal where, okay, I raise soybeans. I raise corn. These people are raising huge plots that are contracted to a corporation, and they have to raise them in a specific fashion. And no longer do we have a whole lot of these diversified farms. And there's a very strong resurgence in this country for small homestead-style, old-style diversified farms where people have a couple cows, a lot of chickens, a hog or two, maybe a goat or two, that kind of thing, as well as intensive gardening and, multi-crops. Instead of being I raise corn, they'll raise sunflowers, corn, maybe even, Jerusalem artichokes or something like that. And that's being taken over by local Agenda 21 and the USDA's Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food program. So what you have described is a threat to their control, but they have mechanisms in place already that are taken care of via funding and cooperative agreements and grant processes. So what people have to do is do things that are good ideas and don't get government permission for it, and sure as heck don't get government funding to help you do it.
Well, that's what happened in the 30s. They started, we'll pay you not to grow this crop.
Right. Yeah.
So as soon as the Federal Reserve took over, the government or the banksters that control the government started going after the family farms. After the Soviet Union came into being, after the Bolshevik Revolution, they went on to kill 60 million white Russians, 10 million of them into Ukraine, starved to death. Now, why can't people learn from history? Why can't they see that this is everything that's happening that we've described here on this show is happening here in America, and it happened before. It's happened in Zimbabwe, it's happened in South Africa, it's happened in Germany, it's happened in Russia. Russia became the Soviet Union, and China. Yeah, there millions of Chinese were killed after they were drugged up thanks to British East India Corporation, which brought in the heroin and the opium. Let's see. What are our troops doing in Afghanistan? Oh yeah, they're guarding the opium poppy fields those nasty old Taliban were destroying.
Right. Right after we gave the Taliban like 142 million, we decided we had to throw them over. Yeah, I know. It's basically everything is a theater insofar as the news goes, and what you have to do is get behind the scenes so that you can actually understand what's really happening. And as you know, that takes a lot of work, right? It's not just out there in the open. You have to dig through a bunch of things. But the control of food, the control of water, the control of your ability to move from one place to another are definite roads to total tyranny. And when I got into this, Clay, I mean, they always started waking me up back when Bush Sr. was president. And he said, "A new world order" on television, and I went, "Ding! What?" And that's when I started kind of coming to, if you will. And he took his time with me because I didn't have the internet, I didn't have a lot of information. But as things have progressed, it's very easy to see how all of this works together for complete control and that of all human impact on the environment. So we have to just say, we don't exist at your pleasure, regardless of the piece of paper. If I'm standing in here and I'm breathing, I was likely born. I don't need a piece of paper that says so. If you're laying there cold and gray and your heart's not beating and you're on the floor, you're probably dead, even if no death certificate is signed. So we exist because there's an almighty God. not because of almighty government.
That's right. That's right. And well, you made mention of something.